Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here, and I'm obviously not Kermit the Frog, and that impression probably wasn't that great, but I just decided to start things off a little different today. We're actually going to be talking about carriers today, and this is something that I want to go over because I feel that I want to open dialogue about aircraft carriers. This game that you're watching right now, this specific round, I wound up with Fim on my team, just randomly, just absolutely randomly. I'm sure most of you know who Fim is. She's probably one of the better aircraft carrier captains out there. And lucky I didn't have that torp hit me right there, and lucky my teammate didn't hit me there. That was close. The reason I want to talk about aircraft carriers is I've been thinking about them a lot, especially since we just got word that the upcoming Clan Season 2, will once again not feature aircraft carriers. And I'm sure players are going to be upset about that. I'm sure everybody's going to be upset. And I've started this round off taking a pretty significant bit of damage right there, so I'm going to head in the other direction. There's a lot of ships here, and I'm getting focused. I know a lot of you are probably upset, especially if you play aircraft carriers, so I'm going to start off talking about Clan Season 2, and I actually believe that it's a good thing that aircraft carriers will not be in Clan Season 2. I know that's probably not a popular opinion, especially with aircraft carrier mains, but I personally think that is a good decision. And this leads me into talking about aircraft carriers in general and how I know this past year, 2017, was supposed to be the year of the aircraft carrier. Everybody was excited for it. Everybody was looking forward to it, especially aircraft carriers, players, and it never happened. It just did not materialize. We had the Graf Zeppelin that went through revision after revision after revision, and I don't even know where we're at with it right now. Is it overpowered or underpowered right now? We keep going back and forth. The United States aircraft carriers went through a pretty significant revision, and I know a lot of players were either happy with it or upset with it. Again, polarizing. Polarizing is the name of the game for aircraft carriers. It doesn't seem like there's a happy medium with aircraft carriers in both their power and their usage and their setups. Well, this is going to be very controversial, what I'm going to say right now. And look, I'm not saying this as an expert. Obviously, I'm not an aircraft carrier expert. You all know that I rarely play aircraft carriers. So this is from the perspective of someone who is constantly hounded by aircraft carrier players. I'm going to say right now, I don't really have an issue with where aircraft carriers are at right now. Yes, I know, horrible, right? I'm a horrible person for saying that. I'm just, how could you say that, Zoop? How can you say that you're fine with where aircraft carriers are? All right, now hear me out. Hear me out. I don't have an issue in particular with the aircraft carriers physically. I actually like what they bring to the game and how they bring it to the game. I have no issues with the ability for a Tier 10 aircraft carrier to delete me if it decides to single me out. I don't. This opens up questions as to, am I playing the right way? If I have strayed away from my team and I'm far away from them and I've got no anti-aircraft support, you know what? That's my fault completely. And I think that aircraft carrier captain deserves to be able to sink me rather than have all their planes shot down at Tier 10. So right there, I mean, that's kind of balance right there. How do you counter aircraft carriers? You band together, you amass your anti-aircraft capability, and when the airplanes come in, you shoot them all down. And that can be frustrating for an aircraft carrier captain, but they have other duties as well. Spotting DDs, going after those ships that are single, onesie-twosies, and picking targets. So I don't have a problem with the way aircraft carriers operate. This leads me into the second part of the whole aircraft carrier equation. I don't like the fact that aircraft carriers have the ability to single-handedly dominate a game. And that is the biggest difference between aircraft carriers and every other ship in the game. Now, that might be a little confusing because I just said that I don't have a problem with aircraft carriers being able to delete ships if they single them out, and then I'm going and saying I don't like their capability to control the game. In a way, they are two different things, and this is how. Aircraft carriers, like I said, have the distinct ability to control an entire game, but that is dependent completely on the aircraft carrier captain. And you can see right now, Fem has kind of run into a little bit of trouble, and I am rushing back to give her support right here because you need to keep your aircraft carrier captains alive. Absolutely. And fortunately, this ship's going to go down, but I'm going to loiter in this area for the rest of the game because she needs the support. And I know she is a good CV captain, so I want to give her that support. I want to keep ships away from her because she is one of those players that has the ability to control the match, to control the game. And that's what I'm getting at right here. Aircraft carriers are the one ship in the game that it solely comes down to the captain that's in it. And that is the main problem with aircraft carriers right now. It's not that the ships themselves are either overpowered or extremely underpowered. It's the fact that there is such a high skill gap for aircraft carriers. If you didn't start off with aircraft carriers and use them specifically and, grind with them all the way to the top and put a concerted effort in them, chances are, if you're just a casual CV player, if you run up into a situation where you come across a Fem or any other one of those very, very good aircraft carrier players out there, iChase, someone like that, you're going to have your lunch handed to you. And that's a problem. And that's a problem for the balance of the game in general. Battleships, it doesn't matter. You can have a great battleship player against a poor battleship player, but it doesn't matter because there's an entire team around it. However, with aircraft carriers, if you have a good aircraft carrier captain going up against a poor aircraft carrier captain, that's where we run into issues. And that's the biggest problem I have with aircraft carriers. There's just such a balance issue with the captains themselves. I think players like Fem, she plays aircraft carriers specifically, day in, day out, and she has become very, very good at them. I mean, very, very good. And that's the way aircraft carriers are. I mean, if you want to be good, you have to put in the time. What's the reward for that, though? The reward for that is you get to a point in the game where you can delete ships at will, provided you do the right things and you play smart, like Fem. And fortunately in this round highlights that we wound up with a very good aircraft carrier on aircraft carrier match. These are both these are both good aircraft carriers going after each other and going after the enemy teams. And right now you can see we're behind right now, at least as far as ships are concerned. And again, I'm just kind of hovering around in this area trying to protect Fem. I see that these ships are pushing her way. I know they're coming for her. They're coming for her because she's a good CV player, and they know if they don't take her out, it is going to affect the ability for her team or the other team to win. So this brings us up to the other point. This round could have played out totally differently. This round could have had Fem versus an aircraft carrier captain who just made it to tier 10, just playing casually, grinding that along with every other ship. It could have been an average aircraft carrier captain, and this round would be totally different right now. It wouldn't be that cat and mouse game or chess game of using fighters to block fighters and fighters to block bombers and bombers, diverting themselves to go after other targets, and just that knowledge of, hey, these planes are going to work very good against this ship because they're armor piercing and this ship has a weak deck. There is a lot of skill and thought that goes into aircraft carriers. And that is the biggest problem. It's just a very, very prohibitive type of ship for other players to get in. So, aircraft carriers themselves, I don't have a problem with where they're at and the damage they're capable and everything else. I mean, you have probably seen that some of the highest damage games ever in this game have all been aircraft carriers, midways and ships like that. But those players have earned it. Aircraft carriers have the ability to be absolutely devastating, but it requires work. Hard work at that. Harder work than any other ship in the game, because you can play battleships and cruisers and destroyers somewhat similar to each other. If you understand one of those ships, you understand the others. That is not the case with aircraft carriers. And this leads me back to clan wars. This leads me back to clan battles. In this upcoming season and the lack of aircraft carriers. I don't think in a competitive situation where you're putting random teams against random teams that you want that ability for the aircraft carrier to control the entire battle. You just don't. I mean, imagine a situation where Fem's clan winds up against another clan that has an aircraft carrier captain playing tier 7 or, you know, whatever tier clans decides to be, and they're not that good at aircraft carriers. The clan is just going to dominate in a way that they wouldn't otherwise. And that is the disparity with aircraft carriers. You know, good CV carriers present a huge balance issue. And you can see right here, Fem is just, you know, she's just hiding behind that island. She knows they're coming after her. And I'm kind of towards the rear right now, just playing deflection right now. I am doing everything I can to keep them from coming for her. You know, whether it's slinging torps or HE or anything else. And I'm doing an okay job. I'm just trying my hardest. This actually turned out to be a decent round for me in the Zao, which, you know, oddly enough, I rarely have a bad round in the Zao. But my primary goal right now, as should be for most players in this situation, is to protect the aircraft carrier. And that's the thing about aircraft carriers, is the longer they're in the round, the stronger they become. The stronger they become, and you're going to see this towards the end of this round, how one aircraft carrier just becomes stronger than the other one. You know, the fewer ships there are in the round, the fewer anti-aircraft there is. So the survivability of the aircraft carrier, and to make it to the late stages of the round, you know, most good aircraft carrier captains are going to be able to do that. They're going to do the things they need to do to stay alive. Of course, Fem has pushed closer, because the closer you are to the enemy in an aircraft carrier, the quicker you can get your planes back, and the quicker you can launch them again to strike attacks. If she was back where I was at, her damage would have gone down, because it just takes longer to sortie your planes and get them out there and come back. So she's in a rough spot right now. I've done all I can to protect her, so she's just going in, and here we have one of those rare but exciting CV diehard ramming situations. So props to her for a well-played round. You know, every round that she gets in, she does decent in aircraft carriers, and far from decent. I mean, above decent. And again, she's just one of those players, though, that can control the flow of the battle. And see, here things have kind of swung into our direction. This round is slowly turning our way, fortunately. I did all I could to keep her alive, and I would like to think by keeping her alive as long as I did, she was able to swing the battle in our favor also, by utilizing her planes to do that spotting and do that torping that CVs like to do. But, you know, this round highlights how fun a round can be, how good a round can be, if you have two good CV captains in there playing at their optimal level. However, how many rounds does that happen in? Not often, right? Usually it's a situation where one CV is vastly outplayed by the other one, because let's face it, there's just not a lot of CV captains out there. Or if there are, there are not a lot of Super Unicum CV captains out there. Not nearly as many as there are for battleships or cruisers or destroyers. And again, you know, you can have a situation where one team has 3 or 4 Unicum or Super Unicum battleships on their team, but the other team, you know, only has average battleship players, and it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Not in the way that having a good CV player versus a bad CV player has. So the question is, where do we go from here? How do we fix this player balance issue that aircraft carriers have? I honestly don't know. And I don't know if there is a way to fix that right now. I just don't. It seems like we are at a point where the game has been out so long, if you're not getting into aircraft carriers, you're likely not going to, because you don't want to go up against a player like Fem that is just going to run the tables on you. And then what happens to the CV player? they look bad, even though they're trying their hardest to do good. Their team resents them for not being able to stop the enemy carrier, and they have lost motivation to continue playing aircraft carriers. I really think that is the biggest issue right now. It's getting new carrier players into the game, keeping them into the game, and getting them to a point where, yes, they can compete with any other carrier out there. But how do you do that? I mean, you can't take away manual drops. You can't make all CVs dumbfire. That's unfair to the good aircraft carrier players, which is why I don't like what's happened in the low tiers. But in the low tiers, of course, you've got players who will come down and just, they're gonna club seals. So what would you do, especially you carrier captains out there, whether you're super unicum, average, or just trying to do what you can? I mean, what would you suggest to fix these issues that we have right now? And right now it's 2-on-2, and this highlights what I was saying. There's one carrier left, and he's in a good situation because there's no other aircraft carrier to counter him. While I have anti-aircraft capability, it's not spectacular, and this round might have been able to finish either way. However, fortunately, time was running out, and there's not much the enemy CV can do right now. So I'm gonna push into C right here, and I think I pretty much said what I need to say about aircraft carriers. I don't think they should be in clans right now, just because you can't guarantee that you're gonna get a good CV captain against a good CV captain, and if you don't, especially as few ships there are in clan battles, one CV, if it's a super unicum CV player, they're just going to dominate, and that doesn't make it fun for everyone. So, maybe 2018 will be the year of the CV. Maybe there will be some hot fix to the issues we have, but right now I just don't see it happening, and I don't know if we've reached a point of no return where we're going to continue to go 15 or 20 rounds without seeing a CV. Then we're going to finally get one, and you might wind up with a good CV on CV match like this round had, or you might wind up with Fem versus someone that is just an average CV player, and she just absolutely runs the table. And right here, the round is ending, and this CV player, he's got me targeted, and I know he has me dead to rights. I'm going to use my double rudder to try and do what I can, but there's not much I can, and I don't have an issue with his ability to do this right here. I think he deserved it. He stayed in this round this long. There's no other ships to protect me, and I'm at half health. There I go. Did all I could, but, well done on the enemy CV player, but that's not going to be enough to win the round. And this round is going to be a victory for us, but guys, I'm interested to hear what you think. How do we fix CVs? Are you happy with how CVs are physically? Do you think they're powerful enough or not? Or do you not? Interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. I know this is a hot button issue, but some things need to be talked about to make things better. Anyhow, as I said, thanks for watching, and I am out.